The last Grimm to come out of the forest wasn't quite what they were expecting. It was very canine-like. Much like a Beowulf, but also very different. It was a bit bigger than a Beowulf, as well as being more dog-like than wolf-like. Its body was also much less armored. In fact, the only armor on it was around its snout, with some bone-like spikes coming out of its spine and shoulders. But the most notable difference was that its body seemed less solid. Like Yami's Grim vomit had only half solidified while making it. It wasn't a liquid per se, it looked more like melting ice cream than anything. That thing is super creepy, Toru said. It looks like something you'd see in a horror movie, Mina said, giving the creature a good hard look. I kinda like it. You have such weird taste, Kaminari told her. This is likely Yami's most versatile and impressive Grim yet, Fu explained. You see, up until now, we were never able to make an intelligent Grim because their brains just aren't capable of that. But, Amai had the idea of sticking a human brain into Yami's Grim vomit and seeing what happens. What happened was this. Wait, where did you get a human brain? Achiko asked. Yeah, please don't skim over that part, Sue added. Oh, we just opened Fu's skull and took out his brain, Shiroku explained. It took us a few tries to do it right, but we eventually got it right. That's fascinating, Izuka said. Ignoring the part where you cut open your brother's head and took out his brain dash. God, this place is weird, Kaminari commented. It's essentially like replacing parts in a computer so it runs better, Izuku explained. Using Fu's brain as a processor, you can make a Grim much smarter than it otherwise would be. That's actually rather interesting, and also disturbing, Momo added. This Grim can use its intelligence, and its special body, to adapt to almost any situation, Shiroku explained. Although it is blind, it has an enhanced sense of smell and hearing, so it can track people down extremely well, Fu explained. I think the best way to show off its abilities would be to have someone fight it. Anyone want to try? Kirishima raised his hand. I'll do it. Alright, please come over here, and prepare yourself for battle, Kiba told him. Kirishima got up out of his chair, and the children stepped back to give the two fighters some room. The Hound and Kirishima faced off against each other, as Kirishima got into a fighting stance. Defeat him. Don't kill, don't hurt him permanently, Yami ordered. The Hound gave a growl of affirmation, before lunging at Kirishima. Kirishima raised a hardened arm, and the Hound bit down on it. The fake redhead gritted his teeth, as he felt the pressure of the Grimm's jaw come down on his arm. It was strong, but not that strong. Kirishima punched the Grimm in its unprotected chest, and felt his fist sink into its body, like punching goop. Huh? The student retracted his fist and looked down at the indent he left in the Grimm, as it quickly regenerated. The Hound then jumped back, before lunging back at Kirishima with its claws, slashing his chest. Kirishima hardened his chest, and the slashes bounced off. Growling, the Hound jumped back again, and paused for a few seconds, seemingly thinking about its next approach. You're gonna have to try harder than that to scratch me, Kirishima shouted. The Hound kept still for a few more seconds before suddenly, it started to change. There was a sickening cracking noise, as the Hound's body transitioned from canine to a more humanoid form. As its limbs extended, and its physiology changed to one that would walk upright instead of on all fours. Its hands also changed from paws to human-like hands with claws. Lastly, on the side of its neck, it grew gills. Oh, that is so creepy, Kirishima said before he saw the creature lunge at him again. But instead of clawing at him, it grabbed him and held him up to his chest. Then the Hound turned towards the lake and jumped in. Splash! Both of them entered the water, and then, things went silent for a minute. Everyone started getting more nervous as time went on, wondering if they would come back up. Splash! Kirishima was thrown onto land on his back, desperately struggling for breath. A second later the Hound jumped out of the water and pinned Kirishima to the ground with one of its hands, before raising its other claw, ready to strike him down. Stop, Yami ordered, causing the Hound to halt its actions immediately. Mina immediately got up and ran over to Kirishima. Kiri, you okay? You still breathing? Kirishima spit out some water and took some more deep breaths. Yeah, I'm fine. So, what do you think? Amazing, right? Kiba asked the audience. Meanwhile, the audience was dead silent. After a little bit, Izuka got up and broke the silence. Alright everyone, you've seen what the Grimm can do, you can take your leave now. I'd like to speak to my kids. Class 1A, as well as Inko, agreed, because something was clearly on his mind, and left to give Izuku and the kids some privacy. Once everyone had left, Izuku turned to the kids. Right, so firstly I want to say, you all did a great job designing the new Grim. Izuku started off. There is a lot of creativity and thought that was shown here, and I'm proud of that. All the kids started looking prideful, happy to receive the praise, except for Amai who looked bashful, and Yami and Fu who remained neutral. But, Izuku added, we can't just have these Grim in the forest as normal security alongside the Seers and Beowulfs. Eh? Most of the kids seemed shocked and confused by that statement. Why not? Kyoko asked/complained with a pout. Because currently, the Grim are ordered to capture anyone who trespasses past the signs in the front. And if they get too close to the house, or if they attack one of you, they will attack the trespasser. Izuku explained. They're ordered not to kill, but that doesn't mean they can't do it accidentally. And accidentality, killing someone, is a very easy thing to do if your method of attacking is shooting a giant laser at them, crushing them with rocks, or lashing them with barbed tails that are red hot. Seriously Kyoko, we talked about not hurting people. Kyoko crossed her arms. Humph. And Grim aren't that smart. Except for the Hound, none of those Grim would know not to use those attacks on people who would get killed by them. Izuku continued. The Sabers, Ravagers, and the Hound are fine, but the rest are too deadly to use as normal security. The kids thought about it for a bit and realized that Izuku was right, and looked a bit ashamed of themselves for not realizing that. Except for Kyoko. Kyoko had no regrets. Look, the Phylong, Geist, and Sulfur Fish are great Grim, and I'm sure they can help for Yami's hero work, or as security in extreme cases, Izuku explained. I've been thinking of something called security levels. And some of these Grim could be used at higher levels, but not at level 1. The kids looked confused. Unsure exactly what Izuku was talking about. Izuku sighed. Okay, I can only really explain it when I figure it all out myself. Just, give me some time, and I'll explain it to you later. For now, just hide the Grim away, and get ready for lunch. The kids nodded, all feeling a bit conflicted about how this all panned out. XXXXXXXXXX. The next morning, the kids from yesterday's Grim presentation were called up to Izuku's office, with the exception of Amai who had gone home yesterday. In Izuku's office, was Izuku at his desk, and at his side was Ida, Momo, and Achiko. On Izuku's desk was a big map of the house and the surrounding forest. Kids, come in, Izuku told them. Come here, let me show you something. The kids all walked up to Izuku's desk, looking at him attentively. Alright, do you remember what I was telling you about security levels yesterday? Izuku asked them. All the kids nodded, except Kiba who shook her head for a moment, saw that everyone else remembered, and then nodded, despite not actually remembering. Okay, so. The security levels are essentially measuring how bad a situation is, and what means we should take to defend ourselves. Izuku explained. It's important to have things like this established. Otherwise, you could find yourself overdoing your security, and getting people hurt unnecessarily. Ida told them. So let's start with level 1. This is the state the house will be in, most of the time. Izuku said, before pointing to the map. Do you see this? This is the entrance to our property. This is the limit of where normal people can go before they are considered trespassing, and thus we can use quirks to defend ourselves. I have signs put up, warning people to turn back. So if they keep going, they either didn't see the signs, or they meant to trespass. That means they enter security level 1. During security level 1, we don't want anyone getting hurt. So the Grim used are commanded exclusively to capture intruders, without harming them. Momo explained. As such, we decided that the Grim that can be used at this level would be limited to Sabers, Creeps, Griffins, Ravagers, and Seers. As well as of course, the Hound. Oh I get it, you limiting the Grim that can be used at certain levels, so that way people don't get hurt, but at higher levels, we'll use more Grim because the situation is worse. Fu realized. That's right Fu. Good job. Izuku praised, before pointing at another spot on the map. If an intruder gets here without getting captures, or shows violent intent, then we move to security level 2. Which is when the Grim will be allowed to attack, to try and stop them. At this level, we decided that now, Beowulfs, Borbatusks, King Taijutsu, and Ursa can be used. Level 3 is when they're getting way too close to the house, or one of you. This is when we're sure that they're dangerous, we need to take them down. Achiko explained. All the kids will be told to get inside, and the amount of Grim that'll be used will be expanded. including bearing elves, blind worms, sentinels, death talkers, geists, Goliaths, and manticores. And then we arrived to level 4. Ida jumped in. It's at this point when the entire situation becomes dangerous, and we're willing to seriously harm an intruder in order to stop them. This is when sulfur fish, felongs, knuckleavies, and wyverns. I already started constructing barracks throughout the forest. These will contain most of the Grimm that won't be surveying the forest normally, Izuku said, before taking out a piece of paper and handing it to Yami. Yami, do you think you can make these? Just tell me if you think any of it is too much. Yami looked at the paper, and all the kids crowded around him to take a look. The paper itself listed Grimm and the amount Izuku wanted to be made. 50 Beowulfs, 20 Ursa, 15 Bearing Elves, 6 Blind Worms, 20 Borbotus, 25 Sentinels, 30 Creeps, 10 Deathstalkers, 5 Geist, 10 Goliaths, 30 Griffins, 2 Hounds, 10 King Tygitus, 10 Manticores, 2 Knuckleavies, 50 Ravagers, 30 Sabbers, 5 Sea Felongs, 100 Seers, 123 Sulfur Fish, 1 Wyvern. This isn't the amount of Grimm I want you to make. This is just the amount of Grimm I'd like to use for security, Izuku clarified. I'd have to count the amount of Grimm we're already using for security, but it would still be well over 100 Grimm. Do you think you could do it? Yami took a good hard look at the list, before looking up at Izuku. Need to go to the city more. Absorb bad feelings. I'm sure I can arrange something, Izuku said, thinking of ways to keep Yami safe while he went out. To think we'll have an army that big at our beck and call. Kiba grinned. Excellent. Well, at least we'll be safe, Shiruka said. And that's what matters. Kei added. Him. Kyoko was overall acidified. She would have liked to see her sulfur fish used a bit more, but at least they were being used. Alright then, Yami, I call you when we want to make the Grimm. For now, go and enjoy yourselves. Thank you for trying to protect the house, I appreciate it very much. Izuku smiled at them, making sure they felt appreciated. The kids smiled back, and happily exited the room, to get on with their days. And thank you guys as well, for helping me plan everything, Izuku said to the 3 hero students. As a future hero, it's my pleasure to assist in making sure people are safe, Ida said. The same goes with me, Ochako said with a grin. I must also agree with them, but something tells me this isn't the end of the work needed for the security system, Momo surmised. Well, you're right, Izuku admitted. I've been talking to All Might, and he said he could get me in contact with David Shield. Wait, David Shield? As an award-winning researcher, and leading mind in support gear development, that David Shield? Momo asked. The very same. Izuku smiled at the thought of getting to meet such a famous and important man in hero society. I want to see if I can purchase some security equipment from there. That's smart, Momo told him. Did the police figure out who sent the assassins yet? Ida asked him. Having a strong security system is very well and good, however, it's also important to determine who is it that wants you dead, and make sure they're sent to prison. Izuku shook his head. Unfortunately, Nise is still unconscious, and the assassin is refusing to talk. No one can figure out his motives, other than he's a Quark supremacist, and I'm Quarkless. But he's not related to Nise, nor did he actually know her personally, meaning he didn't send her. So the mastermind is still out there, Ochako said with a grim expression. Ugh, can't we just read his mind or something? That would be a violation of human rights. You can't read someone's mind or memories unless you have probable cause to believe it has already been altered, Ida explained. And you don't need to have your memories altered to be a Quark supremacist, just a lack of human decency. Don't worry, Ochako. We will get through this, Izuku said confidently. I promise you. I'm not going to get killed by bigots. I know you won't. I won't let them, Ochako promised. When will you be meeting with S.H.I.E.L.D.? Momo asked. Just before I-Expo. I got my hands on an invite, so I'll be going there with the kids, Izuku explained. That's still quite some time away though, so for now, all I can do is wait. Well, actually I'm gonna need to test out the Grimm security system first, but how? Ring ring. Ring ring. Izuku took out his running phone from one of his robe's pockets and looked at the caller ID. Nizu? Why would the principal be calling now? Momo asked. Izuku answered the call and put the phone up to his ear. Hello? Hello Mr. Midoriya, I heard you were improving your security, Nizu said. Izuku's eyes widened in shock. How did you dash? Ida gives me regular reports about what and his classmates are doing over there, Nizu explained. Ah, that makes sense, Izuku responded. Well, you're right, we just finished about an hour ago. Why? Would you like to test this system? Nizu asked in a tone that sent chills up Izuku's spine, but also made him curious. What do you have in mind? Izuku asked. He could hear Nizu grin over the phone. Well, I happen to have another hero course class that could use some experience fighting against varied abilities, Nizu explained. I think we can help each other here.